This is Kaya. She came into our lives like a couple days after I uploaded my last video, so I hope people can understand why I haven't been uploading, because she's been quite the handful, huh? Okay. Do you want to sit here for the whole video, huh? So I suppose I can start telling this story with her in my lap, and if she decides to leave, that's up to her. But, oh god, years ago, this was like when I was like 17, I was working at a fast food restaurant, and I just like randomly got a call that was like, hey, this is Vector. We got referenced to you. We want to give you an interview. And I had never heard anything about Vector, mind you. Never heard a thing about it. And they were like, oh yeah, it's a really good summer job opportunity, especially for like, you know, in between your senior year of high school and college. You'll be earning like 17 an hour plus. Like all this, whatever. A lot of really great sounding promises, right? Especially for someone who's 17 working at a fast food restaurant making like $10 an hour. Making 17 sounds real nice. But I found out that one of my sisters had done Cutco, or sold Cutco through Vector, and she had done really well at it. But I'm not a salesperson. If you know like me at all, you know I'm not sales. I'm not good at sales. I don't do sales. Sales is not my thing. It's a moral thing, it's also a personality thing, it's an anxiety thing, it's a whole thing. And so, like, all that I knew about Vector at this point was my sister did it and she did well. Like, I honestly, even at this point, didn't even fully know what Vector was. Don't mind the squeaking, which I know a lot of people are probably like, what the hell, you don't know about Vector and you don't know that Vector sells Cutco, but like, I didn't know. So I go in for the interview, right? It's me and a bunch of other people my age. So they do an individual interview before they do a group interview. And since my name is so early in the alphabet, I was one of the first people for the individual interviews. Can you keep it down back there? And so I come in, and the woman is like, hey, what do you know about Cutco knives? And me being an idiot, I was like, oh, well, I worked at JCPenney and I'm pretty sure we sold Cutco knives. And she was like, oh yeah, you know, whatever. And so had the interview. I felt like I bombed it. I was so nervous. I did not do well. Can you not be the center of attention right now, baby? So then we get to like the group interview, and the woman says, Cutco is not sold through any vendors. The only way Cutco is sold is through Vector. And she looked at me when she said that, because I had said that I sold Cutco knives at JCPenney. In the interview, in the group part, she was like, most of you aren't gonna get the position. Like, we only have a couple of spots open. It's very slim pickings, all this shit. But then at the end of the interview, they give you a paper and they're like, try to think of at least 15 names and phone numbers of friends of yours that we can call and interview as well. So I put down like a bunch of my friends' phone numbers, because I didn't think about it. And that's kind of when I realized, oh, that's how I got a call, is because someone put my name down at the end of their interview, because they were told, try to think of at least 15 names and phone numbers of people that we can call to interview. So I walked out of that interview fully knowing, like, I did not get it. Like, there is no way in hell that they're gonna take me. But then guess what? A couple days later, I get a call. Hey, is this Abigail? Yeah, you're hired. You wanna, when can you start? When can you start? And I was like, oh shit, you know, whatever. I mean, it would be nice to be making more than I am, you know, save up some money for college and whatnot. And then she hit me with yeah, and you're gonna have to go through 4 to 6 weeks of training completely unpaid. And that was the moment where I was like, oh hell no. To the na 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 na. Most places will either compensate you for your training, or they'll at least compensate you for the materials that you need to buy. In this case, they want you to buy your own starter set, and they don't pay you for the training. Cutco knives, they're really good knives. My mom has a lot of Cutco knives. They're really high quality. The company, like Cutco as a company, they have a lifetime warranty on every single one of their knives. So if you ever need to get them sharpened, or if you ever break your knife, you can send it back to them and they'll send it to you. You know, they'll sharpen it, send it to you back, or they will send you a whole new knife for free. It's a lifetime warranty. And so how, as a salesperson, are you ever supposed to sell someone Cutco knives more than once? unless they want to buy every single knife set and every single individual knife that Cutco carries, like, how are you supposed to sell someone knives more than once from Cutco? And so after all that, I decided, obviously, not to work with Vector. And it was just kind of like a bit of a sketchy thing. Like, their office was like super sketchy. You could tell they were trying to make it look a lot more professional than it was. It looked like they had just rented out an office space just for the interviews. Like, I can't lie, it really did. They did that whole thing where they try to make it sound like it's a lot more extravagant than it is. Like, they're like, oh yeah, these are our offices, this is where we have our meetings with our higher ups. Our business makes this amount of money per year. If you make this amount of money or more, you're gonna get this kind of bonus. If you make this amount of money or more per year, then you're gonna get these kinds of, you know, whatever, incentives, I guess. And it was just a lot of sales tactics, which I'm not a fan of, and I really don't do well at sales. And so I knew I wouldn't work out there very well. And then I find out later that, I guess a friend of mine works at Vector, but like apparently kicks ass. And I talked to him about it once because I was kind of just like confused. Yeah, he lived in a lot nicer of an area where there's like, it's not such dense population and most of the people down there have a lot more money. And so like his market was a lot different than the market up here. And he, I don't want to say harassed, but he bugged the absolute living heck out of me after he found out that I rejected working for Vector. Because he was like, you could have been making this money, you could have been this successful, you wouldn't have to work a job, like all this, like rubbing it hardcore in my face, and I do not appreciate it. He actually, from what I know, still works with Vector. He works in like their offices, he doesn't do sales anymore. When I was living down in like, you know, the southern part of the state that I live in, I was a lot closer to where he was. So I visited him once or twice and we just like talked, and he told me that he could work like 10 to 15 hours a week and make almost $2,000 in a week. And I was like, why wouldn't you work 40 hours a week then and put all of that extra money into savings? And he basically was like, well, I just work until I make enough money to get me by. I don't really need all that extra money. It is so frustrating because it just felt like I was talking to a wall that just would not listen to me. Because every single thing I said, it was just like, well, it doesn't matter, I make more money than you do. Well, it doesn't matter because like I control how much money I make. Do you? No, you don't. You get paid hourly. You get paid based on what someone else gets to say that you get paid. I get paid based on how much work I put in. And I'm like, no, you get paid based off of how much shit you talk and how many people buy your stupid fucking knives. This is definitely the more mild of the MLM stories that I guess I have. Network marketing, MLM. I don't want to like drag MLMs through the dust, but I think it's definitely, there's a lot of really scammy, scummy shit happening with MLMs that I don't appreciate. And it really is a thing where like they'll start talking to you and it'll sound really great, and then the second that you actually get into it, you learn so much stuff. And then they tell you, well, it's not that you make 17 an hour, it's that you make commission based off of your sales. But on average, people will make at least 17 an hour on sales because our knives sell themselves. You don't have to do anything. And it's like, so you lied to me. What you're just saying is that you lied to me. This is my response. There is like a giant anti-MLM community that's like on the internet that's expanding. And honestly, I am in full support of it because I feel like Vector really wasn't that bad. There's like a whole other thing that is like a whole other thing that is like a whole other video that I'm not doing right now. And they tell you about like the end. They don't tell you about the journey. They don't tell you about what's behind the scenes. They don't tell you about the nitty-gritty, because if they told you about it, you wouldn't join. And that's the shitty thing, is that they have to lie to you. Otherwise, you'd be smart enough to walk away. In any case, if you want to hear my other MLM story, which would include a certain someone, just let me know. I feel like I should start a Patreon because I want to, but I feel like I shouldn't because no one's asking for it, and I'd also feel bad, so I don't know. I'm caught in this weird headspace. Anyways, hope you're having a great day. Hope that things are going well for you. Hope that my dog cheered you up at least a little bit. I should give her back her squeaky toys. I took away all of her squeaky toys because she was making so much noise. Kaya, you want these? Oh yes, she does. And there is proof that we still have cat. Still has cat. Lucifer, do you need some help, bud? Go on. There you go. There you go, bud. This video is over. Have a great day, bye.